Hey, it's Mel. We have a quick update on two things. One, there's a new free uncut episode of the podcast on Patreon. 2 times a year, we put a free uncut episode on the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon so that anyone who follows us there for free can get a free trial, so to speak, of what it's like to join one of the paid tiers. There are now 7 free uncut episodes you can listen to on the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon, so check them out and see what you get when you join any tier on Patreon. Check the link in the show notes for that. The second thing is, we're updating how the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon works. Now, if you follow the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon for free, you'll be able to submit movies for us to discuss in the podcast. Simply follow the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon, and you'll be able to comment as many movies as you want us to cover. However, when the 2 most popular submissions are put up to vote, only paid subscribers will have access to the vote. So if you want to have your favorite movie talked about on the podcast, give us a follow on Patreon for free and submit a few ideas. And if you really want to make a difference, consider joining our Patreon for $3 a month and guarantee your vote. Again, 2 free things if you just follow us on Patreon. Check that link in the show notes. Follow the Cinematic Doctrine Patreon for free. It's totally worth it. You're listening to Cinematic Doctrine. Hey, if you just press play, there is no Patreon chat this time because I'm very busy. And so I don't have time. We do not have time. But we do have time for a very good episode on The Matrix. And as I am editing this episode, I'm going to be trimming stuff out, cleaning it up for $3 a month. You get to hear the uncut, full recording of the episode. And that's the same with previous episodes too. I think most recently, the longest one was Welcome to Derry, where the raw audio was 1 hour and 50 minutes, almost 2 hours. But the release episode is 1 hour and 13 minutes or 1 hour and 15. So that's a lot of extra discussion that you just don't get when you're listening to the public release. So if you want to hear all that extra stuff, or you want to hear the extra stuff even here, become a member on Patreon, $3 a month. You get access to that, as well as a bunch of other stuff you're going to hear while listening to this episode. But you press play not to hear me pitch you the Patreon. You press play because you want to hear a movie discussion on The Matrix. Movie discussions are really simple. We basically do 2 prompts, and these 2 prompts are going to be just things about what do we think about the film, what did it evoke in us, what did it draw out. These are going to be all without spoilers, so we'll be able to just talk about the experience. And this very much is a movie with spoilers, so we will be totally free of those. And then about halfway into the episode, we have 2 more prompts, and these are open discussion with open spoilers. We'll just talk about everything that we know. So if you have seen the film and you want to hear further discussion on stuff like that, of which there is a lot, then you will have a good time. But I am joined by Kathryn for this movie discussion. Hey, Kat, what's up?
Well, surprisingly, we are recording this while the sun is still out. So I'm in my peak performance mode. Maybe this will be a yappy episode. We'll see. It was a really cool movie. So
oh yeah, it helps that we're recording still in the morning. I feel like I take a bit to wake up, but I am on. I feel like every time I've done a recording in the morning, it always goes better. Oh man. Let me give a bit of background on The Matrix, and then let's get into thoughts. So this is a genuinely massive movie from 1999.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was not, alive enough to actually understand or know anything because I was baby. And some might even say I still am, but we'll leave that up to the court of public opinion. Some of my friends who are older than me are like, no, you have no idea how much The Matrix just took the world by storm, and how impactful it was, how much it became popular culture. So this is kind of a big deal even for us to be talking about on the podcast. And then also as a podcast that, as is advertised, hosted by Christians, although I don't prescribe, I don't typically watch the movies that I would say Christian culture likes. The Matrix is one of them. For quite obvious reasons we'll get into later. But it's one where they kind of put it alongside The Princess Bride and The Matrix. And then I guess
what a double feature.
Yeah, really strange, right? I had not seen it until I was about a teenager. And this is my first rewatch of the film since then. So this will be a lot of fun to get into. The premise of The Matrix, we open up with this action sequence wherein a woman in a very stylistic, cool outfit is fighting off these like SWAT men, and she's running from them. She seems to have found somebody, but then she goes into a telephone booth and vanishes. Then we cut to Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, seems to be very techy. He's like a hacker. He seems to be producing contraband of some kind. I wasn't quite sure what it was. They just looked like CDs. And he wakes up. His computer literally says, "Wake up, Neo," and starts talking to him and says, like, "You need to go follow the white rabbit." And he's like, "What is going on?" And then he ends up selling some of his contraband, and he sees a white rabbit tattoo on one of the women there. So he goes out to the party that they are at, and that same woman from the beginning of the film in the action sequence is at the party and essentially says, like, "You're in danger, you need to follow us." And so begins this kind of underground seedy mystery thing where you have two things going on. One, you have this group of leather clad, sunglass wearing, even indoors, super cool people trying to get Neo's attention and saying, like, "You might be special and we need to save you," because on the other side is this strange kind of government possible agency that is trying to get Neo because they're like, "You're connected to something. It's something we've been searching for a long time. You can't trust those people in leather. Don't trust the leatherheads." Neo is then stuck in the middle, being terrified of these people in suits because they seem to have very weird, strange powers, but then is also skeptical but curious about the leather daddies because they don't, I don't know. And yeah, so there's this guy that's mysterious named Morpheus, who's someone that people have heard of, that Neo is curious about and personally has been looking for. Morpheus is part of the leather people, and they're like, "Hey, like, they don't really have a name, right? They're just called like the Resistance or something."
Yeah, they don't have like a name or anything, but essentially something significant is Neo is a very techie person, so we see these bits of him where you're like, "Oh, maybe he's hacking stuff," and so it's assumed that Morpheus is also a hacker, and the action woman in leather Trinity is also maybe a hacker. So basically, it's like it's presenting like these ostensibly really nerdy people, if you like think like, oh, they're hacking the mainframe sort of stuff, as like these very rebellious leather clad kung fu fighting types of people.
It's so cool. Yeah, it's awesome. So basically the point in the film, and we'll stop here with spoilers and then we'll just get it. It's not spoilers. We'll stop describing the film. We'll consider this the complicating incident. He meets up with Morpheus, and Morpheus essentially says, you can do one of two things. You can take the blue pill and your life will just go back to normal. You can take the red pill and you'll see how far this rabbit hole goes. And that's where I think we'll stop it, because I think if you have not seen the film, which I had the experience of not knowing what the film was when I was a teen and I finally watched it, and Kathryn can speak more to it too, but she also did not know.
Yeah.
And
yeah, this was my first time watching it, and something happens about 20 minutes in,
awesome.
And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it's awesome. And so, like, I want to leave it there because it's awesome. So let's get into what we think of the film. Yeah, Kat, this was your first time. What did you think of The Matrix?
As I just said, this movie went in a totally different direction than I expected. And I would even say it exceeded my expectations that I had for it.
Awesome. It's so cool.
This wasn't like my experience watching Event Horizon, where I had people hyping that movie up for me for years. So when I finally watched Event Horizon, I was like, oh, it's still like a spectacular movie, and I enjoyed it. However, the hype for some of like the horrific elements of it was way outsized in my head compared to what actually happens in that film. For The Matrix, I feel like it was almost understated. Like, I understood that this was a significant movie for the time, and obviously it's like even still relevant to pop culture today. Like, people understand what you mean when you say like blue pilled or red pilled. So I understood the significance of this movie, but I watched it and I finally got to that point again about 20 minutes in, totally unprepared. this twist happens, and I'm like, okay, I'm here for it.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Like, and I'm surprised that after 27 years, that had not been ruined for me,
Mm-hmm.
because The Sixth Sense ruined for me.
Yeah.
Like a movie that I would probably really enjoy, but also I get a little bitter thinking that now I have to watch this movie with the context of everything I know about it.
It does soil it, especially in the case of Sixth Sense, where it's like that's the end of the movie. Where in this case, at least having that knowledge might be fine because you still have like an hour and a half to go in the film, in The Matrix. But it really is awesome, though, to essentially have this moment. I mean, this is the thing I feel like that if I'm talking to peers who were alive and present in 99, the pinnacle of human society.
Yes.
They would say, like, yeah, if you didn't know, like you went in, this stuff happened on the big screen, and it just completely colors how the bulk of your experience with the film is going to be. And that's a really cool experience. I don't know of many films that do that so early or so effectively.
Well, comparisons to be made. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay, yeah,
I went into that entirely blind, and that movie maybe about 10, 15 minutes in, you think it's going to be this like lighthearted rom-com almost, and then it hard cuts, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is not what I was expecting.
This is way more sci-fi than I expected it to be. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I appreciate movies that take those sorts of creative risks. So yeah, in that case, The Matrix was really just a delight to watch for the first time. I definitely was not cognizant enough in 1999. I would have to ask my dad what he thought of The Matrix when it first came out. So
it's funny you're mentioning Eternal Sunshine because it actually feels like there's some similarities in terms of. I didn't mention this during the pitch of what the film is, but it isn't just an action movie, but there's also like a pretty clear and cleverly weaved in and out philosophical exploration in the film, which many movies struggle to do. And I'll get into in a minute, but like,
yeah,
Eternal Sunshine gets to some of that and explores it in interesting ways. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Like I would say, like, to your point, The Matrix is a very meat and potatoes type of movie. Like there is a full exploration to be had here of some of those philosophical concepts. But I would say that this is like meat and potatoes with plenty of cheese on top.
Oh, yes.
Because like the entire character of Trinity, I was gagged a little. It's like there's this leather-clad lady that's also like this sensitive, hopeless romantic that we come to learn about. And I would define her probably as being like the equivalent of a male power fantasy like Captain America.
Sure.
Where it's like, oh, there's this guy that's like super buff, snappy dresser, has good morals, has like he's got it going on. And Trinity's like that, but like kind of transposed onto a woman, where it's like the power fantasy that you would normally see like men have, but it's a female character. And then another just cheesy point to me, like there's lots of kung fu in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's iconic.
It's so cool.
Funny. It's funny at the right points. And maybe, you know, as it said in the movie, maybe 1999 was the peak of humanity. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, I think it's just this like you're watching the vision of the Wachowskis on screen, where there's unique style, there's a unique attitude, there's this also like unique execution, and like there's clearly similar things in The Matrix to other science fiction. I mean, there's some Terminator, some Dark City, some Blade Runner, and then obviously Ghost in the Shell, and I guess Serial Experiments Lane was they may not have engaged with, but there is very clear, and this has been talked about forever, the influence that anime action in particular has had on The Matrix. People have done side-by-sides and comparisons of even just scenes from Ghost in the Shell that are used here in The Matrix, except done live action. And yeah, and then even like Event Horizon is kind of, you can see just the things that were being talked about. And I mean, even Men in Black, like
Yeah.
it's The Matrix is similar in vibes and feelings in some ways to other films. I mean, you even mentioned Fight Club when we were talking, I think.
Yeah, it was like something was in the water in like that late 90s, early 2000s era.
Yeah, we were talking about it, the Gen X anxiety of like, we're at the peak of humanity and this is it. Like, I'm in a corporate job and
I've
like
got
my
my
life
button
still
up.
sucks, or like whatever. And all of that's still here. But again, the style, the attitude, the execution of it is all the Wachowskis. It just really sets the movie apart. Like it's a patient movie. It has like a real plot essentially that's introduced later on, which is what we keep talking about, this twist kind of thing. It's confident though, because it trusts that the audience will keep up with the film, because they're not just interlacing the excitement and context of action and why things matter because of story and narrative, but then it's interlacing this like philosophy of self-efficacy and actualization expressed through action and saving the world type stuff. Like, it's really interesting, and then it's also just exciting. Like, it's a fun, awesome action movie where you get these awesome moments of characters stepping in water as bullet casings are falling into the water, and gunfire, and things are like, it's just so tangible and exciting and cool and powerful, and things have weight, and it it's so refreshing to watch this. And even to know like there's still a lot of special effects. All of this stuff is done with brilliance and recognition of, we can't just put it on the screen. The audience needs to be there. The audience needs to feel it. And that's so different to a lot of the big movies we watch nowadays that I almost feel like we just stopped going to because we realized, yeah, it's not doing it for us anymore. Like, I know a lot of people bring up Shang-Chi as one that's like post 2020, like a great Marvel movie, really fun. But even I remember seeing that in theaters thinking like, yeah, there's not a lot of impact here. Like, I know they talked about it having martial arts and being a big deal and doing real stuff, but it's just not hitting.
I think the problem is, in those cases, the movies all lead up to the same giant CGI blob fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the CGI blob is. Whereas in The Matrix, yeah, tangible is a really good word for it. There is this sense of impact and contact, and it still feels like believable in a way.
Well, I was even just thinking like the final anxiety-ridden action sequence isn't in just like a subway, like and it's awesome, and it feels really tense, and it's because the whole film has really built up the context and the philosophy, and all of the stuff of the film meets in this moment. And like, yeah, there's just so many movies nowadays that I think struggle with that.
You may not know this, but the easiest way you can show your support for Cinematic Doctrine is to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. So press pause and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And then press play again so you can hear the rest of the show.
What did the movie evoke in you?
The biggest thing that I stepped away with in the year of our Lord 2026, where movies are too long and too expensive.
Yes.
I thought The Matrix was 2 hours and 16 minutes of efficiency. I think that the movie really earns its runtime. I do not think I could find a way to see how they could have told the story that's frankly so epic with less time on the table. So again, that just kind of blew my socks off to think like, okay, I'm not sitting here going, okay, when is it over? You know,
there's no point of exhaustion.
Yeah, and there's not like a moment halfway through where I was like, oh, I really got to get up and like do something else. Like, my brain is melting, because the movie was engaging, it was paced well, the acting was good, the philosophical stuff kept me interested. And I think outside of that, this struck a particular dark sci-fi beat for me. You know, like you were mentioning movies like Dark City, Blade Runner. My impression of The Matrix prior to watching it was to expect something like Inception, where it's like, okay, it's just guys in suits like doing fight stuff, I guess. And maybe there's something like
trippy
like
or sci-fi in it.
metaphysical going on,
Yeah.
but absolutely not what actually ends up happening in the Matrix, which is, frankly, the twist that happens in the Matrix is way more to my tastes than something like the concept of Inception.
Yeah, and dark sci-fi. What? Yes, it is so dark.
Yeah. There's just something that warms the cockles of my heart whenever I see like I mean, I can't spoil it, but like
just how crazy it gets.
Dirty, dingy,
retro sci-fi.
Like, yeah. Gosh golly.
Yeah.
It's not just people in leather punching each other. The Matrix does invite you to reflect on big thoughts.
Humanity.
Like, what does it mean to be human? The Matrix, like, literally sits with you for 2 hours and 16 minutes and is like, okay, like, what does this mean? I think that as cheesy as it is, like the blue pill and red pill analogy is solid. I can see why things like that have stood the test of time and, the subconscious memory of pop culture.
Yeah, it's awesome. For me, like the movie just kind of evoked, I mean, this is more personal. What a surprise. I'm realizing I love fiction about self-efficacy and self-actualization. So self-efficacy being the idea that a person realizes they have the ability to achieve the goals they desire, or at least initiate and motivate towards those goals, whether that's independently or by communicating their needs or just by training. The idea of like, you can do it if you set your mind to it type thinking, except it's more holistic because it just plays into everything you do. Self-actualization, though, is like this pursuit of growth to be more, not though because you think you're deficient. It's because like that's just the way you live as you're ever developing. It's not final, confidently moving forward type stuff. And that kind of breaks down into like, you recognize that you're both good and bad. You're challenging, you're easy. You can be independent from social expectations, but you're not making decisions in spite of it, which ironically would be you're not actually independent from social expectations if you're just trying to be countercultural. You can also comfortably decenter yourself from situations where applicable. So you kind of understand like sometimes things are other oriented. You have this healthy emotional independence. You're still capable of empathy though. And then you're also like united and you're a part of something. You're independent like as a person, but you recognize your independence is a part of others. And you kind of find some wonder in that. And so like those two things of self-efficacy, like I can do this, and then self-actualization, recognizing more about yourself. Those are like two things that are in the Matrix and explored. And I think that's more the philosophical lines of what's going on. And then the flavor of it is through the Matrix, through gunfights, through leather. Like all of that is really just the flavor of exploring these two things. And it's interesting to realize like that this is just consistently a thing that like makes my brain go burr, because it's also just like a big theme of my life after leaving inpatient, which longtime listeners of the know that I've gone to inpatient. We had a break from the podcast for a bit, came back, whatever, all that jazz. But like characters enduring intentionally or not to better understand their place in the world or their ability to make change within it. I love that. I mean, Neon Genesis Evangelion and End of Evangelion, not the rebuilds. They can jump into a bit of fire as far as I care. Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, I think, are also like this. Madoka Magica for sure. Akira, and then not anime, but Lilo and Stitch. The Incredibles, I think, has that. The Long Walk from last year, love it. Donnie Darko for sure. There's even some connections with that between this and that. Francis Ha, which is not sci-fi, but very much about stuff like that. It's a Wonderful Life, if we go all the way back. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, literally, its ending joke is getting self-actualization. Unbreakable, The Last Dragon, Queen's Gambit, Dark City, On Golden Pond, Godzilla -1, Exit 8, Pride and Prejudice, No One Will Save You. Like, all these movies I'm realizing consistently have like these two things in varying degrees. And even like movies, I think, where characters fail to reach it, but the film is still about it, have really resonated with me. I saw the TV Glow for sure. Stalker, Bo Burnham inside, taxi driver, the assistant, the Outwaters. This one will make people's brains explode. Joker fully ado. There's something so resonant that connects with me about all of these things. I just love this narrative structure. And like Neo isn't a personally troubled or doubting person in the narrative of the Matrix. Frankly, all of the characters aren't that profoundly deep. It's more the world, I would say, that's deep. But his story is still very much about him reaching this point of self-efficacy, where he has this belief that he is capable of being the change he wants to see. And then self-actualization, where he gets outside of his own head about everything that's so crazy. Like the things that he learns are just insane, but he's able to finally like put that to the side. He puts the well-being of others before him. He recognizes his shortcomings and fears, but he realizes he can still make change that betters others. Even just like to the end, he experiences an increased sense of unity with his crew and like awe. Like, oh my gosh, like it's so in my wheelhouse. Like, it absolutely joins the cavalcade of movies I've listed, because by the end, like what the film wants to say about human life and human relationships, but specifically human life, like the power of it. I think that's awesome. I don't connect with this quite as much as some of the others, because the others mentioned will have more profound characters, but this on a broad scale, totally cool.
I would say, hearing you describe this, in my opinion, the characters in the Matrix function more like chess pieces.
Yeah, totally.
Like representing these broader concepts on like self-actualization or faith or self-sacrifice, or like they really are kind of stand-ins to a certain point. Not to say that they're bad characters, but the whole point of the Matrix isn't about Neo as a character or Trinity as a character or even Morpheus as a character. The whole point of the Matrix is like more broad, high level. What does it mean to be fated to do something? Or what does it mean to live your life to the fullest? Or to like, what does it mean to be human? Versus like some of the things that you've mentioned where it's like Scott Pilgrim, where it's like, no, like you are in Scott's shoes the entire time.
As disgusting as they are.
or Francis Ha, same sort of thing. Like these are much deeper characters. I would even argue like The Last Dragon. Very comedic, lighthearted, also has a lot of kung fu and fighting.
Great movie.
But deeper characters. So like I'm picking up what you're putting down as far as this being a movie about like a character's self-actualization.
It's more like Akira, where the overhead, like talking chess pieces, it's like you'll love the game and therefore you'll like all the pieces. Because like I like all the characters in Akira, but there's no profoundly deep characters, not in the film version. I don't know about the manga. And here it's like, all the pieces are really in service of the game, and man, I love the game. Like it's so cool.
For some reason, all of the pieces are covered in leather.
So cool.
Hey y'all, it's Frank here. Are you looking for a podcast that feels like chatting about geek culture with your friends? Check out Geek Freaks. We cover the latest in movies, gaming, comics, TV, and all the big stories you want to gossip about anyways. We have honest reactions, fun discussions, and interviews with creators across the industry. One key point about Geek Freaks and everything in our network is we will never harsh you for being a fan of something. There are too many other podcasters that want more listens and more clicks, and they'll do that by making you feel bad. We won't do that. So, whether you want breaking news, deep dives, or just to hang out with people who are generally positive about geekdom, come check out Geek Freaks. We'd love to have you. You can find Geek Freaks wherever you listen to podcasts, or just simply Google Geek Freaks. You'll find us. All right, have yourself a great week.
Hey, if you haven't seen The Matrix, like you got to get on it. Like it's great stuff. It's tons of fun. It's cool. You're definitely going to like chuckle at some of the stuff, but I think that's all knowing and it's still very neat. It's this just masterful film. Incredible. So check it out. We are going to get into spoilers though. So let's get into some specifics here. Our first prompt is recurring motifs, prominent significant moments, and or characters. What do you got, Kitty Cat?
Yeah, so jumping into spoilers, really our big reveal is that the Matrix is what Neo thought was the real world, but it's actually like a simulation made up from AI. As we go into the rest of the movie, Neo is learning what it's like to be in the real world on this dingy spaceship. And he's like kind of seen as being the one, like this person who is going to bring people out of the Matrix and into the real world. So for me, with the recurring motifs, characters, things that I saw, I thought it was really on the nose that Trinity's name was Trinity.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have the Father, the Son, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, all three members of the Trinity. And we even have a Judas. So, like, just breaking down our characters, like, Morpheus is the father. He is this guy who is leading the group. He is overtly referred to as being like a father by one of the other members of the group. Cypher, who's kind of like our Judas stand-in, laments that like he only does what Morpheus tells him to do. Then we have Morpheus believing super, super strongly that Neo is the one. Neo represents like the Son. He's our Christ figure, where like Neo must learn to walk among people in the real world, and he also holds the power to make unthought of changes in the like quasi spiritual realm of the Matrix. And then Neo literally at a point in the film is like resurrected, and then he is defeating evil, and Trinity descends upon Neo in a pivotal moment, proving he is the one. Like the holy dove like coming down upon him. Trinity is also with the group prior to Neo's arrival, so like in that way throughout scripture the Holy Spirit is with God's people even prior to Christ being on the earth. So those were really just kind of the things that I was pulling out. And the most obvious thing is Cypher, one of the guys in the group, is our Judas figure who literally trades Neo and the rest of the group for digital steak. He's like, I know this isn't real steak, but it still kind of tastes good. Like if I give the group over to you, agents of evil, will you give me money and like hot girls and steak?
Money, power, like, take away the bad memories, stuff like that. Yeah. Morpheus is like, he's both like a father figure because they overtly say that over and over, but then also like John the Baptist kind of.
Oh,
because he's a firm believer. He is kind of a guide like that. That's sort of how I saw it. I saw like both of those there because each of the characters is sort of like a mix of these things.
Well, I had even mentioned earlier, didn't have it in my notes, but Neo's real name, I believe, is Thomas. So he's almost this like doubting Thomas figure where he's like, I don't think I'm the one.
Yeah. I like the idea of like they're just like writing the script and they're like, you know, he's in doubt. Let's name him Thomas. And then their pen just immediately bursts into flames. It's just incredible. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is like that the mind is the Matrix, the body is the real world, and that humanity is both mind and body. So when you're in the Matrix, what is really trying to be asserted to by Morpheus to Neo is when you're in the Matrix, this is your mind. And the Matrix is like a magic trick that is trying to convince you that this is reality, because if the body is things reacting to in the brain to make you comprehend reality through feeling. So sending you signals of what you see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Then if it's able to do that through that, but your mind is where you are intrinsically as a person, then you can influence in the Matrix beyond what you actually could do in the real world. Because in the real world, I, Melvin Benson, am limited by the skin of my body and then maybe my voice, you could say. The skin of my body can make influence and change in my room. I can reach out and touch the wall. I could reach out and push over my monitor and knock it over. But I can't do that to someone's monitor in another planet, like another planet. For all you listeners in 3026, interplanetary listening on the episode on the Matrix, on another state, I can't do that. I'm limited. Now I have a voice and I can use that voice to project and influence and speak and whatever. But even then, that's still limited. Whereas Morpheus is asserting, like, no, the Matrix literally, like, it's your mind. And you can, through belief, through mind over matter, just do whatever you want almost. And it's something that you train in doing. And that's then expressed through the judo fight, that's expressed through gunfights and things like that. I mean, the phrase where it's like, Neo's like, what you're saying, like, I'll be fast enough to dodge bullets if I get good enough at this. And Morpheus is like, no, I'm saying you'll be good enough that you won't have to. Because through your mind, you'd be like, well, it's just not, if it's not real and it's all just sensory input and output, then my output can be like, no, I do not want to experience being shot right now. And so you just wouldn't let it happen.
Well, I think of the scene where Neo goes to see the Oracle, and there are all these the ones that the Oracle has hanging out at her apartment. And he sits down with the little kid, and the little kid is bending the spoon, and he's like, here, do you want to try? And he's like, no, actually, what you have to realize is you are not bending the spoon. You are the one bending. Like, essentially
the spoon's not there. It's not real. So
yeah, like saying, like, the flexibility you need to have isn't like control over the world around you. The flexibility you need to have is internalized in your mind. Like the flexibility to think that, like, you can do it, and so you do it.
It's a conduit for expression. This thing really only exists to the spoon essentially only exists to either prove or disprove the evidence that Neo is real. Just as much as Neo's body, they assert, like, when you go into the Matrix, your presentation is essentially what your, like, brain envisions you as, which is expressed as, well, I'm in really cool leather outfits and I got muscles and I got these awesome shades. Like it's so cool. All of that's, like, throughout the film, interlaced in and out. It makes the action sequences great because it can be this spectacle action movie, popcorn flick. But also on a headier level, you can recognize, oh, all that's happening in the Matrix is basically just a visual representation of this mind battle between human thinking and AI thinking. Yeah, I just think that stuff's really cool. And then, especially now, right? In 2026, it's been a couple years of LLMs, and I think I've been incorrect in saying AGI. That's artificial general intelligence, which does not exist yet. That's singularity type stuff. What I mean is I think it's artificial image creation, stuff like that, right? LLMs, things that, like, you talk to it and it talks back. Cleverbot on steroids. Now that we're in that world, it's just really interesting to kind of see in 1999 this science fiction exploration of human life in relation to AI and technology, where to be in the Matrix and to be a believer in staying in the Matrix, like a cipher, is to be a consumptive person, to not produce, to not influence. Whereas to be someone who is real is to perhaps have less because you're in the real world and you live in a spaceship that probably stinks like sweat. But when you even go into the Matrix, you have a much more authentic to yourself and the world around you expression because it's from you. It's not stuck in the Matrix that's, like, built around you. And that is so antithetical to how AI is advertised and utilized. I mean, it's advertised as, hey, it can help you do these things. It's like, no. It's just doing those things for you.
Running with the metaphor too, a part of the Matrix is these are the things that have been provided to you by the AI. It's almost as if it's like an algorithm that's telling you this is what you like. Like, Neo, you are a programmer at a software company. There's no freedom. There's no agency in that.
I mean, even the conversation in the ship when they're eating and they're like, oh, this tastes like a smoothie, even though it's just slop. They're like, what's kind of amazing is I don't even know if what the AI programs a smoothie tastes like is accurate, because how would the AI know what these things taste like? It's not real. It's never been real. It's never all of it. And so And so you get to this really interesting case where you're really watching the movie thinking about yourself as a being in the world, not the Matrix, which are a world surrounding beings and like suffocating them, which is a very 90s corporate Gen X thing of like, do I have any independence? Do I have any personality? Or am I just a part of the machine? Am I just a cog in the machine? A battery in the machine with the Matrix. And so it's an interesting thing where by the end of the film, Neo's not just like the one, but also like has become someone who has influence over what he's doing in a way that's way more authentic and real, to the point that he sees it. Like we have that shot of him looking and seeing the data, because he sees now like, oh, this is the world I'm in, and if I can understand it now, I can actually be a part of it and influence it.
Well, I think it's timely too that The Matrix is it is a movie that is a product of its time, because as people were becoming
because
more
of the leather.
Yes, but also as people were becoming more digital minded.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this was on a lot of people's minds. The idea of, okay, like if we are starting to shift towards doing so many things on the computer, like what is it really going to look like as we're giving up like parts of the freedom that comes with being in person for things, or moving from like more industrial work or more naturalistic focused work to these office jobs. Like that's the office jobs are a very, very new thing.
Yes.
I mean, in the length of humanity. So
humanity does not sit as much as it does now. Like that's just not.
Yes. Yeah. And I have a job where I sit all day. And that is my least favorite part about the entire job is that like I'm taking that 30, I'm going outside.
I mean, there definitely was something in the water, because you have even in Japan with Pulse, which is very much like the forsaking of the body and the overindulgence of the mind to the point of self-destruction because of the things you expose yourself to and many other things. But then also Zero Experiments Lane, which is so much more about the investment of the mind over the body and also many other things. But those are things that are... It's interesting because as Christian, we believe we're mind and body. We're together. We're soul and body. We're together. Like that's one of the things that makes us separate from creatures, is not just that we're made in the image of God, but by being made in the image of God, we are a pairing of soul and body. And part of why death is the way it is so sad and tragic is it's the rending of the two. The body is left stiff and empty, but the soul is in Sheol, as the Old Testament would say, the place before heaven and hell, the place waiting for it, that kind of thing, waiting for essentially the day of the Lord. Anyways, that's theology. We're talking about the Matrix. And so to have this then fiction that is sort of meditating on the mind part of the mind and body, and to then think of like in this film, it's the struggle of better understanding the two together, of how by the mind the mind is expressed through the body, the self is expressed through the presentation. I mean, enter the Wachowskis retroactively. I mean, maybe it's true, but saying like, oh, there's a trans allegory in the Matrix. It's like, yeah, obviously. But like to have all this fiction that's very internet about the mind so much that it's affecting the body, or the mind so much that it affects the world because of what the body's doing in the 90s is really interesting, especially as someone who grew up in the mid to late 2000s, early 2010s, being in the second wave of the internet where it's social media, like which was so mind focused. I mean, it was constantly mind focused. Enjoying this episode? Grab that share link and tell your friends. Word of mouth is the most effective way for a podcast to reach new listeners, so don't be shy. Share the episode wherever you can. So you get to the ending where essentially it's like, is Neo the one or not the one? And they've, for the most part, we're pretty much convinced like he might not be the one, but he's still our main character and hero. And when Morpheus gets abducted and they're trying to interrogate essentially the agents, we haven't really talked about the agents much. Agent Smith is essentially the main bad guy, Hugo Weaving, and he's trying to find the one as well. But then we learn, as he's interrogating Morpheus, specifically trying to get the codes for, we haven't even talked about this, but there's an entire, not related to Israel, as far as we know, Zion that exists in the real world, which is a human enclave that exists apart from the AIs. It's deep inside the earth next to the core. All of the people who pilot ships, who are essentially these like scout slash, I guess, secret cells that exist in the real world to connect to the Matrix and find people. I guess the later movies probably get into this more, as well as the comics, and then Animatrix, which is the animated movie anthology. They have codes to connect with Zion. And so Agent Smith and all the AIs are trying to get that information and trying to destroy it. Anyway, so they're interrogating Morpheus, and Agent Smith is like, I'm going to actually be real with you. I just straight up hate humanity to the point that I want to get away from it. I don't want to control it. I just want to get out. And what's interesting with the Agent Smith and those programs is it seems to be that they're described as AI agents specifically made to police and control the Matrix, whereas there's other AI that exists out in the real world. Of course, then Neo and Trinity go and attack this complex. They end up finding Morpheus. They save him. Really cool helicopter stuff. There's a minigun. It's awesome. And they end up getting separated. Morpheus and Trinity are in the real world now, and Neo is stuck inside the Matrix, and Agent Smith finally encounters Neo. The two fight. It's a big deal because we don't know if Neo's the one yet. This fight is super fun, super cool. At some point, Neo does die, quote unquote, until Trinity is like, I know you're not dead. And the reason I know you're not dead is the Oracle told me I was going to fall in love with the one. And I know you're the one because I've fallen madly in love with you. It's cheesy. It's great. It's so fun. And so Neo is revived, able to fight back, all that jazz. He gets out. And we get our Rage Against ending because it's just great. It's good stuff. And I'm sure there's stuff I missed. Whatever. Watch the movie. And if you've seen the movie, you know what happens. Let's get into the ending. Kitty Cat, what did you think of the end of The Matrix?
Really, I want to use this as an opportunity to kind of tie together the broader stuff that The Matrix talks about. Like the big thing that I think The Matrix argues here is that humanity is an agent for change, like an energy source, an agent for change. What makes you human is that, like your power, your ability to like make an impact. Even down to the cheesy fact that whenever Trinity kisses Neo, real Sleeping Beauty moment, there's like a shock almost, like she's like a battery, which has been throughout the film, like, oh, humans are batteries. So she's like jump starting his heart or something.
Awesome.
It's ridiculous.
It's so cool.
But I find it interesting that like the power is like desired and exploited by the AI agents, but also the agents are living in fear of the humans realizing their real power, which is like their ability to make changes or make choices that are different than from what the AI has offered them. To like break free, to find the Zion, to be free.
Transcendence.
And in the end, it's like Neo is able to use this sort of belief in himself and this flexibility of his mind, and even like his self-sacrifice that he's putting, like it's not just his own interests like Cypher chose, but he's putting his self on the back burner to say, no, Trinity, like you go first. Morpheus, you go first. Like, go.
Yeah.
I think all of that is like really cohesive, and it tells a strong story for what it wants to say.
It's so good. It's like here's the thing I feel like with The Matrix is it's a film that as you even think about, and this happens all the time in the podcast, right? We talk about a film and we realize by the end, oh, this is way cooler than expected. When Evil Lurks, that was a case of that. Shirley Ann overtly said this exact thing once with another episode where she's like, by the time we get to the done, we love it even more. Unless it's like Annihilation, where we hate it even more. Many other movies, frankly.
Many such cases.
Many such cases. The Matrix, though, is like, as we're talking about it, it's just
Mm-hmm.
broadening and building up to being so much more. Like I skim the notes because I'm always curious what our discussion is going to be. And when I saw like your humanity as an energy source, humanity as this agent of change, like this, I was like, man, that is so good, because it's like on an overhead scale, the AI is just like humanity is batteries, they are energy, let's take from it. But it's like they don't realize in antagonizing humanity, they are also kind of saying something true about it, which is humanity is very powerful enough to be like powering this entire society of AIs and the matrix itself. And like all of that is extremely neat. And at some point, yeah, it's like Neo through Morpheus saying like, this is the system we live in. And guess what? It actually means you're way more powerful than you think you are, because they're just using the tools of the enemy, kind of. Like, if it wasn't for what the AI was doing by creating the Matrix, Neo wouldn't be able to have godlike powers. Like,
yeah. He wouldn't have reached God tier.
Yeah. Like, it's so neat. Man, you had such a good insight when you wrote that down. That was great.
Well, and even as I'm like considering the ending, there are some really great moments with Agent Smith where there's kind of like an alternative here. It's not just, oh, humans are this energy source, this agents of change, these people with power. Agent Smith's argument is like, no, humanity is a virus.
Yeah.
And then broader speaking, like the AI agents have also designed that like humanity should be a program. So like there's this other side of the coin where it's like humans do have this power to make change, but there's like almost this viral programmatic quality to how humans tend to function in the world, where they can take that power and in the worst scenarios, like abuse it and use it to suck resources out of the planet and out of other people, and like do all of these things to the detriment
exploitation.
Of, the detriment of like everything that like God has given. Again, to me, like the movie is just so strong, even to the point where when the villain is monologuing at Morpheus, I'm like, oh, actually, this guy, like, he's got some points. Like, there's a lot to consider.
His character is already incredibly cool, as is the whole movie. Like, it's just oozing with that personality. But then, yeah, when you have this moment where Agent Smith tells the other agents to leave, and he just has this like one-on-one. His character
takes off the sunglasses.
Yeah, this like he's like, let me get real with you, Chief. Like, I hate you. Like, and you get so much more to his plight against humanity, and it even kind of makes it feel like, oh, well, if he wanted to keep secret this hatred from other agents, I guess AI is borderline doing what it's doing like animals, as opposed to like ethics. They're not like doing this because they hate humanity. They're doing this because they're like, we want to be alive or something. Like, I don't know. It just it adds so much more depth to the character. Again, fans of The Matrix who have seen all the other movies, read all the stuff, they probably have more insight into all that stuff. But the film singularly has like all of this stuff built into it to prove why it is as big as it is now, frankly. Yeah, it's just great. Like, for me, like when I get to the ending, I just think like Neo, sure, he's the one, but very clearly, like, he is a part of the whole group, because you have Morpheus who's searching for the one, and he finds him. Trinity helps confirm who is the one by having this oracle being like, by the things I feel and experience and how it influences the rest of the world, it confirms further that Neo is the one. Morpheus, just to go back to him, just the desire of him searching for the one, and then the way he relates to the one that he thinks is the one, by being like, you don't have to tell me what the Oracle says. Whatever she said for you, that is for you. That's sufficient. That is, because that's all that matters. Like, he is like faith expressed. Like, it's so interesting. But then even Cypher, in spite of his desires and his doubt, further confirms the truth of the one by believing he's damning Neo by doing what he's doing. But then he has the line like, we'll know for sure that he is the one because a miracle is going to have to happen to stop me. And then that's exactly what happens. And it's it's just awesome. Like, it's so neat to see how it's very different to other movies where they build up this idea of the one, of the coming savior who essentially just goes God mode and can just like flick their finger and doesn't need anybody. Like, this is a case where Neo had to train, has to also mentally understand his place, and is supported and confirmed in all these other ways. So he is the one, sure, but it's also kind of neat because it seems like if anybody can reach that level of, I guess, quote unquote, transcendence in the world, they can be like him. They could fly into the screen and make credits roll, and like just like Neo does at the end.
You know, just materialize Rage Against the Machine.
And so, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool, and I like that it essentially avoids that like singular hero route because of how it colors the rest of the story.
Well, and the movie is clever in how it continues up until the very end, teasing the fact that Neo is not the one. Like, the Oracle says he's not the one.
You're pretty convinced, like, it's not him, but I hope he lives.
The Oracle like pats him on the back and goes like, yeah, no, not quite. Maybe in another life. Yeah. All of that is like so convincing, so that it really does. Like, I felt strongly. I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Morpheus is going to be the one. Like that, I was so sold on it. Convinced. I was so sold on it until the end. And I think that in itself goes to show, like, again, it's more about what the group accomplishes together rather than Neo coming in and like saving the day.
You only have the one if there's a number two. Like, I don't know. Like, it's I don't know. I'm just like, the whole group is what brings it all together. And yeah, so it's great. Matrix is really good. Want some quick updates on the podcast? Follow the Cinematic Doctrine Instagram for cool posts and story updates. Press the link in the show notes or search Cinematic Doctrine, that's one word, in your Instagram app. Oh, and we're on Threads. Check us out there too. Let's get into recommendations. What do you got?
This summer is my summer of reading. I've been making my way through books like To Kill a Mockingbird and Fahrenheit 451. But today, I want to recommend a swampy, marshy sci-fi horror novella, The Shadow over Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft. For those who don't know, this follows a young student who's touring the New England countryside, taking in the unique architecture and history of the area, when he gets more than he bargains for whenever he visits the sleepy, rundown seaside town of Innsmouth. The residents have a strange look about them. They're wary of outsiders. And there's a little isle called the Devil's Reef that's the source of a lot of rumors and disappearances around the town. Did the town really have its population cut in half due to the plague? Or was something else happening? You decide. And what about you?
I'm going to recommend Evil Dead Burn. It's in theaters right now, as of the release of this episode at least. It is the second of this like new era of Evil Dead. I guess you could say third if you count Evil Dead 2013. Premise is no one actually overtly reads a book like an idiot and makes Deadites show up, but they're setting up this idea that there is a thing that can kill Deadites, and it is found and it ends up opening and attracting Deadites. And then we end up seeing the Deadite from the beginning of Evil Dead Rise, which we did not see die, kills some people, finds somebody, and essentially says, I finally found your family. We're totally going to come get you. And then that's what happens. The person's family is attacked at their house. Meanwhile, the character drama is a woman who is married into a family. Her husband dies by that Deadite, and it's the funeral for that guy. It turns out that guy is awful. He's really terrible. He's abusive. He's nasty. He's mean. And then he gets killed. And in the audience, since he was so noticeably mean, we're like, good riddance. But then it turns out his family's just as bad. And so it kind of turns into like the dinner argument scene from Hereditary, except for like the entire first half of a movie with the risk of Deadites coming in and making it worse. It is in the vein of 2013 Evil Dead onward in terms of films. They have all sought to recreate the vibes of the first film, except with a higher budget, which is to say, like, they just want to be straight horror movies. 2013 Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise are just horror movies in the vein of the first film. So there isn't really anything overtly funny, frankly, in Rise or even Burn. I think Evil Dead 2013, out of all of those, is probably the funniest. But it does also continue the whole, Evil Dead Burn does continue the whole Deadites are a-holes thing, which is good. It's definitely more on the mean side than the fun side. We should be more fun, but whatever, maybe in Wrath. This one, though, is probably the most metaphorical. I don't think Raimi's trilogy is ever really, like, metaphorical in what it's exploring. I think it's brilliant. It's economic. It's really good filmmaking, oozing with personality, but his trilogy is much more just, like, fun, really good horror and comedy. It's in the Evil Dead 2013 stuff and afterward that seems to try to play with stuff, because 2013, like, Mia's going cold turkey from drugs and then the evil attacks, and there's some obvious metaphor stuff, but it's mostly just how do we get the characters to become Deadites. Evil Dead Burn is literally a movie about dysfunctional families, generational trauma, boy moms, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, it is about that. And then Deadites come in and make it worse. It is probably the meanest Evil Dead because of that. Like, it makes it really tough to watch. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say it's the most violent or gory. I think 2013 takes that by a long shot. Frankly, the first one does. But if you were a fan of The Long Walk from last year, where it is a blunt, hyperbolized, grotesquely violent and mean depiction of something terrible in the real world, you're going to enjoy Evil Dead Burn because it's that. And I enjoyed it because like, I enjoyed The Long Walk. So, but enjoyed is, of course, you know, with an asterisk. So I recommend it. I think Evil Dead Burn's worthwhile. I do yearn for the day of fun Evil Dead. So maybe someday we'll get Army of Darkness 2, Electric Boogaloo or something. I don't know. But it would be nice to have something like that.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Cinematic Doctrine. If you enjoyed the episode, give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're using. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, too. We put out stuff, like, all the time. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. It helps the algorithm share our stuff around, and I see them, so I usually reply. Also, if you support on Patreon, you could have totally heard this episode early. There's a bunch of other benefits to supporting on Patreon, so head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine to learn more. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to our Art House Theater tier Patreon supporters. Thanks, Thomas, Shirley-On, Mom, and Dad. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, stay cool.
Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
Welcome to Twin Peaks. I'm your Twin Peaks veteran, Special Agent Matt Hanna.
And I'm your first-time viewer, Sheriff Hannah.
And each week, we're visiting David Lynch and Mark Frost's Twin Peaks on our new show, Welcome to Twin Peaks, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast.
Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
We're talking dreams, damn fine coffee.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
Back we're talking mysteries.
And asking the important questions like, who really killed Laura Palmer? Are the owls what they seem? And why does this town feel like a nightmare you don't want to wake up from?
It is happening again.
Whether you're a longtime Twin Peaks resident or stepping into the Black Lodge for the very first time, Welcome to Twin Peaks is your guide through the woods.
What kind of fantastic trees have you got growing around here?
New episodes every week wherever you get podcasts.
And be sure to follow our socials at Welcome to Twin Peaks Podcast for schedules and opportunities to call and write into the show.
I'm gonna turn it upside down!
The mysteries are dense and the secrets are dark.
We'll see you in Twin Peaks with a fresh cup of coffee.